Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Chris and Susan Beasley here from London, UK. We are your hosts tonight for An Audience With, our show that we run every single month to help budding entrepreneurs. And we like to invite some really awesome people on board who we know personally, who we know are really successful in one way, shape or form, and who can give you some golden nuggets that you can take away to help you build your business, no matter what kind of business that is. And that's really important, really, because, you know, we look back to when we first got started in 2010, and that's part of the story we'll share with you a little later. And we met our very special guest tonight, and I can never say his surname, so I'm going to abbreviate it just as he does. It is the one and only Saj P. Now, we actually saw Saj on stage at an event, an internet marketing event, where he was doing some training, which I'm sure he'll tell you about in a moment. We were in the audience and we were going, you know what, if these young guys can do this, I'm sure we can. Like, we don't have the skills right now, but if we get the training, we know we can do it. And in fact, that event, that same event that we met Saj at, was a real turning point for us, because we got to asked to go up on stage and commit to a promise, if you like. And we actually announced to everyone, didn't we, Chris, that you tell them what we said.
Yeah, we decided that we were going to give up our accountancy and consultancy business, and we were going to become full-time online marketers in 6 months. So we were working part-time for 6 months, and then we were going to give everything up and just work online and build our business online. And you know, it was a big announcement. I don't know, there was probably 250 people in that room, and you think, what have I said? but of course, you know, the thing was, it was a goal for us. It was a vision that we had to give up this time for money consultancy that we had, that was tying us to you know, our local area and not allowing us to travel and give us the time, which is what our dream was. And you know, by sort of putting it out there, if you like, for us, it just made it real. And all of a sudden we're thinking, every time sort of you get a challenge, you think, well, hang on, I've just told 250 people I've got to do this, so I just got to keep going. And that's exactly what we did.
And yeah, and I mean, Saj was one of those people on stage who totally inspired us. We've stayed in touch ever since. We followed his journey, seen the things he's been doing, and we just keep popping up at different events, and we go, oh, hi, it's so nice to see you. But you know, now we're working together in the same business, promoting an education product, which we absolutely love. But you know what, this show's not about us, this show's about our guest tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Saj. Now, one thing you have to know about entrepreneurs is sometimes things don't go quite according to plan, and Saj's computer is in the workshop. It's being mended, so he doesn't have a video camera tonight. But you know what? The show always goes on. So we've managed to get him on audio, and no matter what, you are still going to take away some amazing training tonight. So get your pen and paper handy, write down those golden nuggets, and without further ado, Saj, are you there?
I'm here, Chris and Susan. Thank you so much for having me. Real pleasure to be on your show.
It's lovely to have you. Look, could you share with everyone how you got started online, what your business started as, and maybe share some stories of people you've met and things that you've done, because really it's all about stories. It always has been.
And I think the other thing is, why did you do it? Because I was looking at your website and I came up with this expression, from struggle to success with a huge vision.
It was lovely, wasn't it?
And I think maybe that vision is something that we could share as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's been an incredible journey for me personally. It still continues to this day. The journey never ends, you know, and I think that's basically, you know, the first nugget I'd like to give everybody. You know, it's like sometimes we always want to get to that end result, you know, whether it's a particular sum of money or a health issue that we want resolved, or a relationship, whatever, and we kind of miss the journey, you know, because we're trying to reach that end result. So for me personally, I've realized thankfully, you know, that is the journey that's most important, and not necessarily the destination, because once you reach the destination, there's another goal, there's something else that you want to do, right? So it never really brings the fulfillment. So for me, you know, I started this internet marketing journey, gosh, it's been at least 10 years now, you know. The way I got started is quite interesting, you know, like everybody else, or like most people anyway. I went to school, I went to college, I went to university. And then at some point during my university process, I was, you know, I think I was in my last year, or the second from last year, and I accidentally discovered the world of personal development. You know, one of my friends gave me a book for, I think it was for Christmas or something, called Think and Grow Rich. You know, I never read anything like that before. You know, I never knew this kind of concept existed, that, you know, if I can control my thought process and manage that process consciously, then I can, you know, create whatever reality that I want, you know. So when I read that book, that kind of opened a whole new world up for me. And I thought to myself, hey, what am I doing in university? If I can go and create whatever I want, then I don't want to, you know, be on a rat race like everybody else, and just live that kind of lifestyle. So, you know, I kind of took a big risk at that time, you know. And another thing us entrepreneurs all have to get good at is taking, you know, calculated risks. So at that time, you know, I thought, okay, am I actually willing to give up my degree and go in a totally different direction and create my own future the way that I want to do it? And, you know, something in my heart said to me, yeah, that's the right path. Go and follow your heart, go and follow your dreams. And so I you know, I stopped my degree right on the last year, you know, and I dropped out of university. And initially it was quite hard. You know, I had no idea how to set up a business. I had no knowledge of being an entrepreneur. Like, my dad came from India in the 70s, very hardworking man. You know, he had 3 or 4 jobs all the time, maintaining our family and my family back in India. So, you know, he had a couple of restaurants that did quite well, and then they kind of crashed. So I had a little bit of exposure to the entrepreneurial world through him, but it wasn't nothing significant, you know. So as soon as I left uni, I was like, hey, look, what can I do now? I want to make some money. I want to take charge of my life. And I immediately went into sales, you know. And that was probably one of the best decisions that I made, guys. You know, I just want to say, like, if you want to make money, you need to learn how to sell. Whether you're selling online or offline, sales is an essential skill, right? If you don't sell, then nobody's going to buy anything. So thankfully and luckily for me, I went into sales. And, you know, without even, because, you know, I'm quite like, I feel like, you know, I'm quite, I like to communicate with people, basically. I like to talk. I like to, you know, get involved in conversations and get to know people. And I've always had that. So getting into sales was like a natural step for me, you know. And luckily for me, I went into some cutthroat sales industries where I got some really hardcore training. And naturally from there, I discovered marketing. You know, I started researching marketing. And to cut a long story short, you know, I did that for many years, and I got sick of it, and I wanted to set up my own business. And because I'd had some background in sales and some background in marketing by that stage, I started looking for ways I could set up a marketing business. And I went into eBay. eBay was my first kind of doorway into online marketing, as many people, you know, who started in our industry. And, you know, I started, first of all, selling stuff from my own house, you know, junk and spare things that I've got. Then as I got more into it, you know, I discovered auctions. I used to go to auctions, buy stuff, sell them on eBay, and I started developing my own kind of system. Okay. And I was making some good money with eBay, like good money at that time. I was making like £4,000 or £5,000 a month. And then, you know, it just piqued my interest. I thought, oh my goodness, I can make this money from home, you know, selling stuff on eBay. What else is possible? You know, what else can I do on the internet? So luckily I started researching internet marketing at that time. And I went to an internet marketing seminar. And, you know, once again, to cut a long story short, I met a internet marketing guru there who I became buddies with, and he kind of mentored me. Another important nugget: always hire mentors, you know, because prior to having this man in my life, you know, I was making a couple of grand online and I was doing okay for myself. But as soon as like I had a relationship with this mentor of mine, you know, literally my income, you know, my brand, everything I was doing just exploded like 10x, you know. So within a very short space of time, I became like a ClickBank #1 bestseller. My you know, this guru mentored me. You know, I started making millions of dollars. Started speaking on stage all over the world. I've spoken on stage now with Richard Branson, Bill Clinton, Lord Alan Sugar. You know, I started meeting a lot of top people in our industry. People like Jordan Belfort, who's my very good friend now. You know, so it all kind of spurred off from my interest in sales and marketing, and then having the right mentors to follow, you know, and having the right kind of systems and blueprints to follow given to me by those mentors. So that's just like a condensed synopsis for you guys, you know. Yeah.
Wow. Well, talk about an amazing story in like a few minutes. I mean, that is phenomenal. And I mean, you know, perhaps you could share one thing we've come to understand is actually when you're creating entrepreneurial success and whatever your business is, that it's not so much your products and services that you're selling, it's actually you, your brand and your backstory. I mean, you've given us a little bit about that, so perhaps you could tell us how you came to meet those famous names that you've actually thrown out there tonight, because that's an important thing, is how you build relationships with influencers. So I've given you a couple of things to talk about there.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I always say, like, obviously, I you know, anytime I'm doing like a coaching program or I've got students who I'm talking to at a seminar or whatever, I always say that, you know, one of the most important things that you can do is to brand yourself properly. You know, it's just so important. Most newbie marketers, you know, they completely, you know, they don't put enough attention in this area. So for me, you know, as soon as I met my first mentor, you know, one of the first things he taught me many things, was to really use something called positioning. You know, so even if he said, look, the first thing I did, I'll go into the story a bit more in depth. So I met this guy, and basically at that time I was selling eBay products. Okay. And then he came and he said to me, Saj, you're doing quite well on eBay. Have you ever created a digital product before? You know, have you wrote about your success? Have you written an ebook, created an audio course, whatever? And I was like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't even know this world existed. So what he said to me is, look, you've got some expertise. There are people out there who, you know, we're going to find that useful. So he gave me a blueprint, and he basically said, look, you know, write an ebook, create some videos, follow this kind of framework, and then I'm going to launch that under my brand, and then launch you under my brand also, you know, by saying, here's a product creator. So I did that. I followed his instruction, and I put this product together, just pouring everything I knew into it. And, you know, he put his brand into it, and literally, you know, as crazy as it may sound, within the first week of launch, we grossed $1 million from that product. And it wasn't really the product. The product was good, obviously. I mean, that does hold some weight, but it was the guy's brand, you know. And from that point onwards, the whole concept of branding myself properly, it just really stuck on my head. It stuck in my head, because I thought to myself, how has this person done this? You know, like, who is this person? Like, how can you make $1 million in a week? It's just crazy, you know? So then I really started understanding the concept of positioning and branding, you know? So if you're completely new, you know, it's something that you should build right from the beginning as the foundation of you know, even if you've got no success right now, okay? Or even if you've you know, you've yet to do something significant in the space that you're working in, you can always leverage the success of the company that you're promoting, for example. You know, leverage the success of other people who are within that organization. So, you know, as you know, we promote lots of different programs, Susan, lots of different education programs, and sometimes you have lots of newbie affiliates who come into these programs, and they're like, oh, but I'm not Saj P, or I'm not Chris and Susan Beasley. How can I have that same level of resonance with my audience? How can I position myself? And there's always a way. You know, you can always branding, simple things like making sure your website looks good, making sure you've got good pictures on your website, you know, making sure you've got good clean videos. All of this kind of helps with the whole positioning and branding, because most people are not doing that. Most newbie people, you know, their websites, they look rubbish, you know, they're not well put together. So, you know, just from the very basics of making sure your stuff looks good, your pictures look good, your videos look good, your site looks nice and clean and professional. And then, you know, if you are promoting any products from a certain company, or if you are affiliated with an organization, most likely they would have had success stories. Most likely they've got significant results. You can leverage that and connect that to you. You know, you can say, hey, here's this company I'm promoting. Check out these success stories. Check out these case studies. And that instantly pushes some of that authority into yourself, you know. So I've always kind of, because of my mentor, I've always kind of been a master of positioning myself. You know, so even if I haven't had great success, whatever ammunition I've got, I'll use that to position myself. You know, so that's how I got to meet Richard Branson. For example, I'll tell you that story. Prior to meeting Richard Branson, you know, I had a significant level of success on ClickBank. Okay, I had speaking on stages at small to medium internet marketing events, like the Mark Anastasia event where I met you guys, you know, and other similar events. And then at the same time, there was really big events happening all over the world, you know, big events with people, with thousands of people in the crowd, with people like Richard Branson, Alan Sugar, and the Jordan Belforts, and all these guys, you know. So I was playing at a certain level, and I knew there's a whole another stage out there, but how do I get onto that stage? So all I did was basically at the time was just use everything I've got that I've achieved to position myself, you know. So I said, look, I'm a ClickBank bestseller. I've spoken on stage. I've done this extra, and it might not at that time. I thought, okay, but this doesn't sound good enough to get myself onto the other stage, you know. But slowly and surely over time, I managed to build that positioning and build that authority to basically to be perceived as somebody who can speak on those stages, you know, and I managed to elevate myself to that level. And then once I had the picture of Richard Branson and I met Richard Branson, and I used all of that stuff in my marketing to position me to the next level. So whatever stage I've been at, I've basically always had it in my mind to use positioning, use leverage, and use branding to the best of my ability to push me to the next level. So everybody can do that. And I know sometimes when you're new, you think to yourself, oh my goodness, I can't do this. You know, I'm just a nobody. I've made no money. But you have to be creative. You know, you have to use some creativity and think to yourself, how can I use what I've got or leverage the company that I'm promoting or other people who've had success in this industry and use that to position myself to the audience I'm promoting to. And there's always a way if you're creative, you know. So I've always, thankfully, tried to think in a creative way, especially when it comes to the branding stuff, guys. So and it's always helped me and it always works, you know, it definitely works.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right there, Saj, because, you know, when we first got started online, you know, we were I was 57 and Susan was
2 years younger.
a couple of years younger. You know,
Every year counts.
25.
Yeah.
And, you know, our first mentor was 27 years old.
Wow.
So we're going, hang on a minute, you know, we got a son older than him.
Yeah.
But the point being was that he knew and had been successful in what we'd already done.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing we did, and I mean, you know, he started to, and his whole thing was you have to brand yourself. And I don't care where you are today, you've got to start to brand yourself.
Yeah, totally.
And the first thing he did with us, he said, right, come on down. We met him at his gym. He'd just come out of the gym, quite bizarre, but we drove down to Berkshire and he said, oh, meet me there. And we sat in the lounge and we went and found some quiet corridor somewhere. He put his camera on a tripod.
Mm-hmm.
And we shot a video. And all he did was just ask us about our story and our background and, you know, why we were doing what we were doing. And we said to him, well, this is fantastic. He said, but it's going to be a great video for you because you got the results and we haven't, you know, we're brand new. And
we're two oldies.
And he said, no, but that's exactly the point. He said, people will watch this video. He said, I'll put it on my YouTube channel. You put it on yours.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, the people who watch it, they will either relate to me or they'll relate to you.
Right.
And, you know, he said, people who relate to you won't want to work with me and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And that was how we got started branding. And it was really, you know, even today, people still see that video. People still come to us and say, oh, I've seen your video with Stuart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why I contacted you. And it comes back to what you said. It's finding it when you get the opportunity to either have a picture or talk to somebody or have a video with somebody or ask a question with them, whatever. If you get that, it becomes collateral.
Yeah, totally.
And that's the thing that you can use. I mean, we still use collateral from years ago.
And we were scared, like we were really scared at events to go up to some of these, well, what you call gurus, what we all call gurus, because they're so well known. We were frightened to go up and say, look, can we have a picture with you? Or can we interview you? Can we ask you a question? Can we just get the camera out? And we were frightened to do that. And when we got over that fear and realized they're just normal people, just like you and I and everyone watching this, they're human, and actually they love all of that because it's part of their image. The more that you show them and your association, the better it is for them. And it's very reciprocal because, you know, it works for both parties. And after we got over that fear, we just made it a thing that every event that we would go to, we would get together with people, make sure that we got photographs, but we would always ask, is there something that we can do for you? And, you know, out of that, we were just chatting before we came live, weren't we, Saj? And we were saying the number of people we've taught to use Google Hangouts, for example, because it's an amazing tool.
Right.
And not everyone knows how to do it. So we feel we can actually give back through that. But, you know, the nugget here for everyone watching is, don't be fearful of asking. Someone can always say no. They can say they're having a bad day, they haven't got their makeup on or whatever, if they're ladies. And just accept it, but it will do you so much good. I mean, I've seen your picture with Richard Branson. It's all over social media.
Yeah.
And that bit of marketing collateral for you is like, well, it's worth $1 million, I'm sure. And we know, we went to an event where we saw Richard speaking, so Richard Branson speaking, and we were fortunate enough to have whatever they call premier or platinum seats or whatever, and we got to have lunch with him. And what an amazing guy. But he had so many people queued up to take pictures. We really wanted one, but we didn't get one. And I always regret that.
I'm sure you'll get one soon, Susan, you know. And one of the things I love about you guys, and is that you guys are always, you know, pushed past your comfort zone, you know, like you said, taking the pictures with people and you know, going and speaking to people. And that's something, another key trait that, you know, if you want to be successful online, you have to push past, you know, your comfort zone, you know, and do things that are outside your comfort zone. But don't think, for the listeners out there, you know, when it coming back to the branding thing, it's not like you have to take pictures with gurus and stuff like that to be positioned as an authority. Of course, if you can do that, it's great. But, you know, just having like a good looking website, you know, having good quality pictures. If you're on holiday somewhere, taking some pictures of you on holiday, working on your laptop, saying, hey, look, I'm trying to set up an online business. This is the lifestyle. You know, you can work from your laptop from anywhere in the world. So like I said before, it's just having that creativity in your mind to think, how can I position myself to basically stand out from the noise, you know, because that's what you want to do when you're being an internet marketer and you're trying to set up an online business. There's lots of people trying to do the same thing. So the guys who are really, guys and girls who are really successful, they somehow manage to stand out from the noise, you know. And obviously having good marketing collateral, having pictures with gurus and celebrities and events and all those things are great. And any opportunity you get to do that, you want to capitalize on that, right? But that's not the only way, you know. Somebody might not have that opportunity at all. So what can they do? Right, you can definitely make sure you have good looking websites, you have good looking pictures of yourself, you know, like HD high definition pictures. Every smartphone can take HD pictures these days, so it's not difficult. You know, if you've got videos, have good quality videos on your website. So to somebody new who's basically stumbled upon whatever it is that you're promoting, if they see that you actually everything that you're doing looks professional and presentable, you know, automatically you're going to be perceived as somebody who knows what they're doing and somebody who can be trusted and somebody who they want to engage with, you know. So there's always a way, and anybody listening shouldn't think, because I have a lot of students as well that I speak about the same things to, and some people are like, oh, how do I do this? I can't do this, you know. And I always say to people that, look, don't ever think, you know, I can't do this. Just think to yourself, how can I do this? You know, what have I got? Even if you can do 10% of what we're talking about, you're going to be miles ahead of everybody else who's not doing any of this, you know. So yeah, just be creative. That's what I always try to do, guys, with whatever I got. And the Richard Branson thing, you know, that happened for me many years after I was in internet marketing. It didn't happen straight away. You know, I've been using that picture a lot in my marketing. And one of my students once said, oh, you know, I did a Facebook ad with that picture and I got like a huge amount of engagement and result. And some like, oh, but I don't have a picture of Richard Branson. How can I, you know, I can't have this level of success. So basically, I was like, look, first of all, that's not the only ad I've got here. Check out these 10 other ads that I've got. And yes, it's taken me a long time to get here, but what if you could even do 10% of what I've done here, you know, just by being creative? Don't think about, I've got that picture, so obviously I'm going to leverage it to the best ability, but it's not the end of the world if you don't have that, you know. A lot of people think, okay, I can't do this, but you definitely can. And I just look around in the marketplace and there's so many people being successful these days, you know, people who haven't got any previous history, people who don't have guru status, but they're still making 6 figures or more, you know, particularly in some of the opportunities we're involved in, Chris and Susan. I've seen many people who have come out of the woodwork and just become so successful. And how have they done it? You know, they haven't stopped themselves. They've pushed past their comfort zone and have taken those actions that most people don't take. And I think you guys are definitely a shining example of that, and that's why you're so successful. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well that comes out of this conversation is that, you know, branding takes time.
Yeah.
You can't be I don't like this word guru, but you know, it's a good you can't be, you know, you can't be a guru when you're just starting out. It's something.
Yeah, exactly.
you have to build up. And as you said, as you go through different stages, you sort of get to a point, you say, well, okay, I'm here now I want to go there. How do I get there? And so it's, as you said, it's being creative. It's finding ways to position yourself as being ready to go to the next stage and using what you've already got. And even if that's, you know, leveraging other people's success, of course you're going to do it. Whatever you need to do is what you do. But you know, it does take time to build your content, because at the end of the day, doing videos, getting photographs, having a good website, doing good work, getting testimonials and that, it all takes time. And it's not until time goes by that, you know, I'm sure that if I go and, well, I know if I go and Google Saj P, there's tens and tens and tens of pages of stuff all about you, Saj. And I know that if we go and Google ourselves, we get the same thing. But it's not something that happened, you know, started last week. It's
no, definitely not. Yeah.
And it's all about consistency, I think, a lot of this, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's just a consistency and just keeping at it, you know, and being able to, like I said, push past your comfort zone. You're going to have obstacles. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have challenges, and where most people give up, you know, people like me, you, and everybody else that's successful out there are the people that just don't give up. You know, they pick themselves back up and they keep going. So that's yeah, you just have to be consistent and work with what you've got. And like, to be honest with you, when I first got started in internet marketing 10 years ago, my goodness, it was much harder to make money than it is today. You know, like these days, you've got systems you can leverage. You can plug into automated funnels. You can plug into, you know, done for you affiliate programs, and so many ways that if you're serious about making money, like you can make money a lot easier in this day and age than when I first got started in internet marketing, where we had to do a lot of the stuff from scratch, you know. So, you know, if you have the right mindset, if you, like I said, follow the right mentors, and you have the right blueprint, and you're just willing to be resilient against all obstacles and challenges and keep going and be creative, you can definitely reach financial freedom in this day and age, especially online. You know, anybody and everybody can do it, and I firmly believe that, you know, and people are doing it every single day, so there's no excuse really, apart from the excuses, you know, you want to give yourself.
It's, you know, it's really true, and the golden nugget that I can give absolutely everyone watching this, if they're brand new and they haven't got that branding and their Google ability or whatever you like, is just go and create your social media accounts. Go and create your Facebook fan page, your Facebook timeline, your Twitter account, your LinkedIn account, a YouTube account, your Periscope, your Snapchat, all of the Instagram, all of those things, because those sites are very well used. They have what we call higher higher edge rank. And so you creating just your name, I mean, everything you look for us is in our name. We don't give ourselves a label. We're Chris and Susan Beasley, wherever we possibly can be. And that's how you can actually dominate the first page of Google, for example, just by creating those accounts. And once you're there, nobody else can push you out of that. Although we have seen now people leveraging our name.
Right, yeah, it's bound to happen.
For the SEO content, you know, but anyone can do that. And I think people are fearful, or perhaps they don't understand, or perhaps nobody teaches them this. That you can do that. That's how we started. We are so fortunate, and I'm going to take you back to the mentor thing, that we had a mentor who cared enough about our success that he told us this stuff. He knew it worked, and you know, whether we liked it or not, or knew how to do it or not, he said go and do it, so we did it. And we didn't question it, and my golly, are we glad we did that.
I mean, the very first thing you're talking about it being more complicated, I mean, you started about 10 years ago, we started about 5 years ago, and you know, the first thing he said to us was, right, you need to go and get your name, go and get a domain with your name. We did that, and he said, build a website. And I said, I've never built a website in my life. He said, go and get this piece of software, it's called Excite Pro. He said, put it on your computer, watch the videos and build a website.
Right.
And that's what I did.
You took action, right? Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't have a clue, but you know, I did it.
And social media, he said, have you got a Facebook account? I said, oh no, our kids keep telling us we ought to get one, but it's not really for us, we're too old. He said, forget that, just go and get a Facebook account. I said, well, how am I going to learn what to do? He said, well, just go there and you'll find out by yourself. And that's what I had to do. And now, like, I teach it. So, you know, that you get to where you are from taking positive action and really, like you say, standing out from most other people who would never do that. And that's the entrepreneurial spirit for sure.
Yeah, totally. And like you guys said in the beginning, you know, telling your story, people buy from people at the end of the day, you know, so there's lots of people. I mean, I heard of a statistic the other day. I can't remember the exact numbers, but like, there's billions of people who aren't even online yet, you know, and they're going to be coming online for the first time over the next, you know, 5 or 6 years or whatever, you know, over the next decade. So, you know, there's lots of people who are completely new to this kind of stuff. So, you know, even if you've got some knowledge, you're an expert in somebody's eyes, you know more than somebody else. So just putting yourself out there and telling your story and just sharing about, even if you haven't had any success, but sharing about the things that you've learned, sharing about the systems and processes that you know that work for others, you know, to somebody that's going to be invaluable. You know, so most people are, I think, afraid to take action and put themselves out there because they think that they haven't achieved anything significant yet. But just doing research and, you know, having the knowledge, you know, that knowledge is worth money, you know, for sure, because people pay for knowledge, as we know, every single day, right? So having more knowledge than somebody else makes you an expert, you know, and you're an expert to many people. So yeah, don't be afraid to take action, guys. And like I said, it's a fear that if I had to boil it down to one thing, guys, it's just fear that stops people. You know, for me, if I think what's stopping me from my current income level to the next income level, we all go through these various stages of fear, you know, and fear of failure, you know, fear of success sometimes, you know, fear of all of the consequences. So if you can somehow push past all of your fears and keep doing that, you can continue to grow, you know, in life and in business. And that's what we all should be aspiring to do. I totally believe that.
I know it's something that we totally understood and sort of really early on we thought, well, what can we do? What can we put into the equation that will help newbie or newcomer entrepreneurs who are used to the employee time for money type of scenario that we were in? So we decided, well, look, what if we put our knowledge into a book? That will actually show people some of the things the challenges that we came across, the bridges we had to cross, the roads we had to go down, and the crossroads we came to, and actually show some of the decision making that we had to do to help them to shortcut their success. And I have to say that book has been, well, it's been our signature, it's been our business card for many years now. It's an Amazon bestseller, and it's all about that mindset shift, which we've been talking about, you know, the whole of this evening to our viewers and people watching and listening. If you can just read and see what other people have done, like Think and Grow Rich. We read that too. We hadn't even heard of it until we were told to go and read it. We forget, don't we, Saj, that there are all these things out there that because we know about them now, we forget to tell other people about them. And that's something someone could go and share on social media. Go and read Think and Grow Rich. It's an amazing book. I've had this experience from it, etc., etc. Yeah, we just all forget to do these things, don't we?
We all move up the ladder, I guess.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, self-education, guys, you should never stop that. You know, self-education is going to make you a fortune. Somebody famous said that, I can't remember who, but you know, just educating yourself, like most of the people who are out there working, you know, if you're on this call right now, if you're going to listen to this call, then you've already made that shift in some shape or form. Even if you haven't, you know, made any money yet, you've made that shift that most people out there haven't made yet. So, you know, everything that you can do to kind of, progress in terms of your knowledge, in terms of, you know, the things, following the leaders in your industry, having the right mentors, and then, you know, you are then an invaluable tool to all of these other people, and you can monetize that. You know, first you can give content, you can build a list, and all the things that we do every single day. So there's no excuse really, guys. You know, the only, like I keep saying, is you make all the excuses and you're the only one stopping yourself from succeeding. But really, with all the things that you have access to, there's no excuse not to be successful in this day and age. You know, it's much easier now than it was before, and everybody can do it. Every single person can do it, regardless of your age, regardless of your education, you know, regardless of your gender, your qualifications. None of that stuff matters anymore, and that's the beauty of the internet and the beauty of the industry that we're in. You know, anybody can just, you know, become successful if they're committed and if they apply themselves and if they basically take action. You know, that's all it takes.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, that people forget to, well, not forget, but it comes back to this fear factor, I guess. They're fearful of making a decision.
Yeah.
And we've got people on here watching this tonight, and there'll be lots and lots more who will watch it as a replay. And it's a question of, it doesn't matter wherever you are now, because there's always another decision to make. And that decision is going to take you into some new area where you've never been before. And I guess when you went from the sort of, let's say, the smaller stages to the huge stage where you were sharing stages with Richard Branson and that, I mean, that must have been really, really scary to actually walk out on that stage for the first time. Because, I mean, we speak from stage, we've had the training and that, and we know what it feels like. But that must have been a huge difference from where you'd been to where you've gone. And it was all based on that decision. What was that like, Saj?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I just remember the first ever time I spoke on stage myself completely. I mean, I had all of this success with ClickBank, and I went to an event, and the guy at the event actually recognized me. And by that time, I wasn't like, my face wasn't out there or anything, but he must have bought some of my products before. And he was doing an event on direct mail marketing, and I went to learn about that. And he just basically said, "Oh, are you?" I said, "Are you Saj?" And basically, I've never spoken on stage before. I was completely terrified of public speaking, but I had two options. I could either say yes to him, or I could say no to him, So even though I was scared, I said, yes, I'm going to speak at your stage. I had no presentation. I had never done this before. I had no idea what I'm going to do. And I was literally crapping myself. I had 2 weeks before his next event. But, I put myself out there. I put myself in the deep end, and somehow I managed to string it all together. And, I was myself, and I just gave a presentation based on what I know, being myself, not being like a fully polished speaker or anything like that. And the crowd loved it, And even fast forward to when I spoke on stage with Richard Branson and all those guys, the same thing. I still don't think that I'm the best polished speaker in the world, but I just push myself out there, be myself, and people resonate with that, So to answer your question, Chris, yeah, it was very nerve-wracking. And I still, every time before I go on stage, I guess I still feel like a bit of those nerves till this day, but somehow I know that I'm there to deliver value, and help people. And I know doing this is going to help me and my brand and also my business. And I just push myself and I do it, and then it works out every single time. So pushing past your fears is I think there's a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's one of the first books I read years ago. Very good book, by the way. Everybody should read that. That's going to be like one of the most important keys in your life. Whether you're an entrepreneur or anything you want to do, you're going to come through various degrees of fear and your internal mind trying to stop you. So if you can kind of master that and make a commitment to master that and push past your fears and do it anyway, then it's only a matter of time before you become successful with that kind of attitude. Success will definitely be knocking at your door if you keep pushing past those fears. So I think it's a lifelong thing as well, guys. I mean, like, who are we really as human beings? What potential do we actually have as human beings? I always ask these questions. I mean, look at how our brains and our minds and everything work. I'm quite a spiritual person. I'm not religious, but I do meditation and things like that. So I always into kind of exploring the depths within myself. And as human beings, we have unlimited potential. And to reach that unlimited potential, we're fearful sometimes. We think, actually, am I actually this great? Have I got this much power? Can I do all of those things? And we're always going to come across these barriers, and as we keep pushing past them, we evolve to the next level. So I always I think in my NLP training, I did a lot of NLP training many years ago, and there was one speaker, and he said something that still resonates with me to this day. He goes, if something is scary and exciting both at the same time, that's something you must absolutely make sure you do. So you should always be doing stuff that's scary and exciting, because that's how you're going to evolve to the next level, basically.
Well, that's on one of the things on our bucket list, and that's to ski the 7 volcanoes of Chile, because we're avid skiers, love it, came to it late in life, outdoor skiing. And we just came across online a blog where we found out that you can get involved in one of these adventures where you ski the 7 volcanoes. So the skiing is sort of okay, even though some of it would be quite a stretch. But for me, my fear, I have this unbelievable fear of volcanoes, but also a passionate knowledge about them. I love watching programs about them, and but I am very, very fearful of it. So I know that the day we do that, and we're going to do it soon. It's a charity thing. You do it as and raise funds for your favorite charity, and we want to do that for education for kids in India. So yeah, we're going to do that. And I love that you said that the fear thing, because it was about a year ago. I think it was about a year ago, and we were at an event with one of the people that you know very well, and we got a call at 6:30 in the morning saying, would you like to speak this morning at 9:30? And we went, well, we're not going to say no, because this is a great platform for us. But we had no presentation, we had nothing. So we're like sat in bed in the hotel room, we go, let's see what we can do. And in the end, there wasn't a great deal, but we had our knowledge and we had our story. So we put a slide up of us in our place in France, in our ski clothes, with our chalet in the background, because that's our story. And we just told our story from why we got started online and what our dreams and goals were, which was around all of that. It was the catalyst for us. And it just all ties back that sometimes you just, even though you're scared, you just have to do it, because it'll take you to the next level. So that sort of leads us really to the question we want to ask you, because Chris created the headline for the show tonight, and he said he read it on your website. So
from struggling to success with an incredible vision. So
that's what we want to know.
What's the vision?
Well, I have lots of mini visions, you know, like lots of I think we should have like short-term, mid-term, long-term goals, you know. So I always have lots of those things, but my overriding mission in life and business in general, so there's two. Like in life, I just want to evolve to the highest potential I can reach, you know, in myself, you know, with my ability, with my skills, and my spirituality and my mindset. I always want to be evolving. I never want to stay stagnant, you know. So my vision is to reach like the ultimate state that I can get to as a human being, and based on my spiritual beliefs and some of the things that I practice, I know that, you know, we can reach unlimited levels as human beings. So I'm always striving towards that. And in business, you know, I mean, like I'm part of like a few charity organizations, you know, some charities that I support. And one of the charities that I support is based out in India. And, you know, what we do is basically we build schools for children who don't have an education, you know, and we want to give them an education, but not only give them an education, give them the right mindset education also, you know, so that they can believe in themselves, you know, have confidence and you know, have hope that they can become whoever they want to become. So that's a very big mission. I mean, it's not my charity, but it's a charity that I support heavily. So my vision is just to keep making lots of money and keep growing this organization, you know, to help children, because I'm very passionate about children. You know, I had my own child, just like he's 2 now, you know, so that kind of changed everything for me when I had a son. You know, before that I was living like a great lifestyle, partying, you know, making money, traveling the world, and I still do all of those things, but having a child, that just made me kind of contemplate the next generation a lot deeper, you know, like, you know, this next generation and the generations after them, you know, whatever foundation we set for these kids, you know, is going to become our world in the future. So, you know, making sure that they have not only the right education, but also the right mindset training, you know, because we're never taught these things in school. Had I been given Think and Grow Rich when I was much younger, you know, maybe I could have achieved 10 times more than I've done now, you know, and like lots of people on this call, and a lot of your listeners, a lot of people on my list and in this marketplace, the reason they're struggling is because of all of these internal sabotaging beliefs and all of these you know, these limiting beliefs that we have, that we can't do this, we're not good enough, you know, we have all of these fears, and it's only because we're not given the right mindset education when we're younger that actually, look, you're a powerful human being. You can create whatever you want. If you focus, if you manage your time properly, if you have the right beliefs, and if you know, use your thoughts in the proper way, then you too can create whatever you want. And if every single child is given that opportunity and that education, I believe that we can completely, in a few decades, live in a completely different world. So I support a charity organization that, you know, sets up these protocols of giving people the right education and the right mindset education. And my big vision in life is to really see that expand across schools and across different countries, and you know, just serve that purpose and that mission to the best of my ability, really, you know. So everything that I do now is kind of, obviously I like to save money, I like to invest money, I like to leave money for my family and my kids. That's always going to be there. But like that big vision is and to see that fulfilled in the greatest way possible is really my big vision and mission right now, guys. So that's what I'm working for in a big way. Yeah.
And that's so brilliant, because I think so often, and many of you watching this will have done the same, because we did it. You go onto Google, you type make money online, and then you start looking deeper and you think, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? And like you said earlier, there's so many programs and systems these days that will help you to do that. But you have to have a bigger picture of why you want to earn money online. And if, like you're in the circumstances that Chris and I found ourselves in, where our pension had been wrecked by the recession in 2008, we've invested all our money into property. We've told this story many times, and you know, I'm not scared to say it now. You know, we felt very stupid that we did it, but it was the right decision at the time. So for us, needing to and wanting to make money online was to give us the retirement funds that we needed to have the kind of life we want, and then be able to support the charity like yourself. We firmly believe in education for children, little kiddies who never even have a chance to go to school unless somebody provides the funding for that. So you know, you get up every day to make money, to take care of yourself, which is really important, and then to think about investing for the longer term of what you can do to help other people. And I think if you get into the right mindset of that, then you can have a very successful business. You can have a business that you're proud of, that is honest, that you can attach great credibility and integrity to, and people will want to work with you and want to learn what you do because of that, rather than just the dollar for the dollar's sake and it buying you loads of yachts and cars and mansions and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, why not, if that's what you want, but think about something bigger, just like you said.
I think
Totally. Yeah, sorry, Chris, you were saying something?
Go on, carry on.
Yeah, no, I was saying, even though it sounds quite cliche, because everybody things like that, but it's so important and it's so true, you know, because you know, what's the reason you get out of bed every day, you know? And most people have never taken the time out to figure out, you know, why they want the things that they want. And if you can, you know, just do an exercise and just really put a lot of emotion and behind, you know, the reason, creating a reason behind why you want success, you know, whether that's just to support your kids and your family. Like for me, when I first got started, you know, my big why was to support my family, you know, because like I said, my parents came from India. We struggled a lot when they were here, you know, they really went through a lot of tough times, and I saw that growing up as a child, and I just wanted to give them a better life, you know, and that's what used to motivate me when I had my challenges and my frustrations. I used to think to myself, oh my goodness, but you know, my mum and dad, they're still struggling, you know, so even though I'm going through this obstacle right now, let me push past that, because I've got a bigger reason to, I got something more that I want to achieve, you know, and that used to get me through all of the obstacles and challenges. And most people, even though, you know, I'm sure they've got a lot of emotional reasons to make them successful, they haven't really put that down on paper and made it significant in their life. So, you know, if you can put a lot of emotion and figure out your why, that's what's really going to push you, because 100% guaranteed you are going to face challenges, you are going to face obstacles on your journey to success, you know, that's 100% guaranteed. But then, you know, if you don't have a strong enough motivation, a strong enough emotional why that's going to push you past all of that, then the first taste of you know, failure, you're going to give up, you know, and unfortunately that's most entrepreneurs for you, you know. There's a statistic like 95% of businesses fail. Okay, like why is that? That's almost like every single business that started fails, right? Well, in like that's just a generally well-known statistic. So why is that? It's because people give up too early. You know, they start something and they're not compelled enough to push past the obstacles, and figuring out your why, like you just said, Susan, is basically, you know, the number one thing that every entrepreneur should do to basically ensure that they've got a bigger vision beyond their personal vision, you know, and it's going to carry you forward through all the challenges. Definitely.
Oh, thank you. I mean, that is perfect. And I'm just going to make sure that when the
hang on a minute, a little bit of So a little bit of feedback there.
I'm just going to make sure that when we send this out, the replay out, that we give out a little booklet that Chris and I created, which is called Your Vision, Your Goals. It just goes through, there's a few pages there, asks you all those pertinent questions, and I think it will really help a lot of people. We've done it ourselves. We look at it every 6 months. I mean, we look at it constantly, but every 6 months we update that. We add some of the things that we want to do. We're able to cross off some of the things that we've already achieved and the people we've helped and that kind of thing. And I think if you have something like that to work to, it will really and truly help you. And we've just so enjoyed having you on the show tonight, Saj, and for giving up your time. I know you literally just got back into the UK. We saw you were over in Dubai, I think, over in the Middle East, and we saw the wonderful pictures of you and your family, and we really do appreciate you spending your time tonight, and we hope that we can repay you one day, and we can appear with you and maybe on one of your podcasts or something.
Hang on, can you unmute yourself, Saj, because I muted you but I'm not sure I can unmute you.
Yeah, I just unmute myself.
That's it.
Yeah. No, thank you for having me, guys. Always a pleasure to interact with both of you and to your audience, and for sure, like, I'm planning to do podcasts and stuff in the future. You know, you'll definitely be my guest on there, and you know, I'm happy to kind of share my journey with you, and it's just great to work with you guys now as well in some businesses that we're involved in, and to kind of bounce off each other. And likewise, if you need anything, you know, I'm always around for you guys.
Thank you so much. We so appreciate that. And
certainly do.
We've had 60 minutes of fantastic information that everyone's been able to take tonight. We thank you for giving up your time to join us, and we hope that you've got all those golden nuggets written down. Don't forget, you will get the replay as well, so you'll be able to go through it and re-listen and pick up some of the bits that you might not have had time to do. And I will make sure that we send out that little ebook so you can actually write your own goals and create your own vision. And yeah, why not tell us what you really want to do? You know, feedback and having some kind of interaction is far more important for us than us just sitting here with our guests just giving you information. We want to know a little bit more about you. So thank you once again for watching. Thank you, Saj, and we'll all see you in a month's time. As soon as I have the date and our next guest confirmed, I will, of course, let you know. So thank you for joining us, and have a lovely rest of the day, whatever time it is where you are in the world. Good night.
Good night.